Hello and welcome to Flory Models Kit View Time. We've got Meng's 1/35th scale. This is the Sherman. This is the M4A3 or in brackets 67W medium tank. As I say, don't know much about Shermans, the different versions and all the rest of it, but we do know there's been a plethora of releases of them over the last sort of year or two. So hopefully Meng have come out with something a little bit nice. So as you can see, very nice box art on the front, as we can see just down in there, and then moving around on this one, usual thing for the AK colour call-outs on this one. Okay, and moving around on the box, the number for this one is TS043, is that Tyrannosaurus range. A little bit obviously about the actual Sherman right the way through, and about the actual kit info as well on the box. So inside, and I'll tell you what, when this one arrived to me, I was thinking it's very light, and I actually had to open the box. Normally I don't open the box, as you know, until I'm probably here doing a review, but I thought it was so light, I thought perhaps we were missing something. And again, it was the thing, talking to a few of the guys about it, we were saying that, is that because recently we've been spoilt with, you know, full interior and big loads of stuff, and as you can see, it's a little bit, yeah, there's not much going on in here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pack of tracks clearly, and we've got some nice bits down in the bottom here though. So we've got the hull section, we've got the actual turret, we've got some clear parts as we can see down in here. We've got a little bit of cable which we'll look at in a moment. We've got a gun set, looks like for the 50 cal on the top. We have got a nice barrel right the way through. We've got some, looks like the springs, things in there. We've got a bit of photo etch, the decals, and obviously the all-important instructions just down in here. So as always, we'll have a bit of a pass through these first. Obviously, details, multiple languages about the actual Sherman, okay, and then going through, and this is a little bit different colour, okay. So you can see down in here, we've actually got the actual wheel assembly for the road wheels and the springs, which we're assuming is what these little guys in the box. We'll look at those in a moment. All right, so that's all those going in there like that. Usual thing then, lower hull assembly pretty much follows the standard type of thing with most armour, and certainly the Sherman family of kits. Some nice detail going down the back here. Multiple parts down in this one. We've actually got the vents out the back, and then obviously putting in the actual wheel for the sort of bogies onto this one. And then same thing again, we've been working with a lot recently, although this looks a little bit more technical. We have some type of track assembly right the way through with wire. That explains the wire. Okay, we'll have a look at that in detail a little bit later. Track system being fitted down onto this one, and then switching over to the actual upper part of the lower hull, opening up various holes. We're expecting various versions perhaps of Sherman coming along, that's why we're seeing all of those. Rear deck going on, and then obviously that entire top hull with a little bit of plate down in it. Again, looking at this, perhaps we'll be seeing hopefully in the near future a fully interior detailed one as well. All the lumps, bumps and all the other actions, as you might imagine, going on the outside. We've got the hatches going down in there and the periscopes. We've got photo etch, which is going to need to be bent, and again looks like we get a little former, which is a nice touch with this one over on here for actually conforming the photo etch to the correct shape. Okay, which is actually a nice little touch with that one, so that one comes through. And then obviously those being added on, and then working our way onto the back of the engine hatches, all of that area going down at the back, and then tools, equipment, stowage items, and again this very useful former down at the back here, again being used again, put into good use for actually sort of forming the shapes correctly for the rear ones as well. Again, more stowage items and various things being put on, tow cables, side skirts being fitted on there, okay, and then up to the actual gun system. So we do get quite a detailed gun on the interior as well, so that section is all being put down in there, and again differences and details, things like that for the actual periscope system. Bottom of the actual turret goes in, and then as you might imagine, hatches and all the various percolas and things like that being fitted in there. Okay, then obviously all the lumps and bumps going on, which we might as well expect, and then obviously we've got, is that 50 or 30 being fitted onto the roof. Okay, and then the barrel, which begs the question, what's that then? So obviously we get two types perhaps of kit, this one coming out. We've obviously got the metal barrel, and then obviously it's talking about it in there, but it's not mentioning a metal barrel in this, and it's not showing it in here, which is a little bit strange. Am I missing it? I can't see a barrel down in the call out. So obviously a nice little extra part they've obviously popped in with that one. Schemes for this one, so we've got some very nice worn down winter ones down in there. Obviously perfect if you are taking part in the actual group build we're doing at the moment on flooring models for the Battle of the Bulge. There you go, perfect entry into that one. And again, working our way through a couple of other markings. Quite nice that one, with a splinter-esque type effect on that one. Again, and right the way through, we've got another one at the back for spring 1945 in Austria. Okay. Again, I will say it right now, because we can get it out of the room. It's quite an expensive kit, it's 60 quid. But actually, we're getting some nice little touches in this, which is starting to warm me to this kit a little bit, because £60, there's not a lot in it, but actually there's a few things down in here. So if we start over here, if we pop in to this one just down in here, and then, sorry, if we just pop that there. We've got a very nice turned, I presume it's aluminium barrel. Okay, down in there just like that. So again, it's going to take you a little bit of, save you a little bit of work, having to get rid of the seam line out of the plastic one, down in there. Okay, we've got a little box here, which again, showing here, I assume you could make the ration packs from the boxes, okay, using the cardboard itself. Again, nice little touch. Oh, there they are. And there we go. This is, if we just pop one of these out, the springs, which, as you can see, do work. So we have operational springs. So that's quite a nice touch and a nice little way of packaging them all down in there. So that's all your springs down in there. We're going to keep that very secure and very safe, because it'd be nothing worse if you lost one. Okay, and again, by using the box as well, a little bit, save the turtles, you can make your ration packs out the back of the box as well. So there we go, that's your spring system down in there for the M4, nice touch. So really those are two very nice touches. Whilst we're looking as well, this is your little bit of photo etch. As I say, there's not tons of it, but it's where you're needed for the lights, things like that. And then down on here, as you imagine, you've got your decals. We won't bother going through those because they're pretty much going to be okay and generic. Also down in here you get this, and I was wondering what it was, and now we know. You obviously got one for a towing braided cable. Okay, just down in here, which is fair enough, and then this is for your tracks. Okay, so there you go. So you've actually got wire there to straighten out and to pin all your tracks, which we'll look at in a moment. Clear parts, they're going to be flat, because let's face it, they are. And then this little guy is the former for the actual making your track section up, as we saw in the instructions. Okay, so that's quite nice. Okay, whilst we're on the small areas, luckily these are stapled, so we can just pop this out. Here we've got the actual turret. And I'm seeing that probably as you just did as well. There's a seam line running right here. Now we know these are cast, and I'm not going to throw aspersions on this that that's a nasty seam line on it, because quite frankly a couple of swipes with a sanding stick is going to take that out and I have no problem at all. Unfortunately, it's not like recent kits we've been doing where the texture looked, to me, perfect. This just looks like a fine sanding piece of paper on this, rather than that sort of textured look, if you know what I mean by that one. We've got a beaded weld line running on the back here, which is fair enough, and on the top here again you've got that sort of anti-slipish type texture to it, but it's not as, I think, cast mark certainly that we've seen on other turrets. So maybe Meng are just a little bit behind the curve on some of the other ones we've been looking at recently. Got the loaders hatch and a good thick detail into the plastic as well to give that a effect of it. On the inside, as we know, there's not a lot going down in there, a couple of holes to open up if we're so needed. Okay, and then we got these at the back, which again looks like this one's had a whack. As you can see, it's got a slight stress mark in there. That's not good, but again, it's probably been running around in quite a large box. On the other one, we've actually got for the hull, so we've got some polycaps, as we know, pretty standard this type of thing, and the upper turret. Again, the casting's a little bit better on this one, got a little bit more shape, but again, it's not what I would call as nice of other kits we've reviewed recently. So definitely from that point of view, I just don't know, it just has that illusion and it's too flash and generic. It hasn't got that sort of cast look to it or anything else along those lines. On the top again, very nicely moulded right the way through. We've got the actual weld marks, things like that, as you might expect on this one. And again, some nice little touches with the detail. Okay, and you've actually got the tooth's edge around here on this, even though you're not going to see any of the inside detail whatsoever. On the inside, there's a couple of bits going on down in there. Okay, and then lower hull, as you see, you've got the evac port underneath the actual floor for dropping out the floor system, and then obviously on the underside you can see it's medium. I wouldn't say it's the sharpest one. We've got a couple of injection ports here, so the actual inlet ports going through, but generally very nice. It's no problem at all. But again, it's this generic texture that's on here which doesn't really do anything for me. It's pretty, looks like a fine sanding paper rather than a casting or a metal look or anything else like that on this one. But generally very nice, good sharp details everywhere else though. Okay, so down in here, we can just pop this little guy open. We've got a 50 cal which is running loose. Okay, nice detail with this. It's hollowed out on the end there, so that's actually very nice indeed. A little bit of clean up required, got a little bit of flash on it, but actually that's beautifully cast one piece for the back of the gun. And then obviously we've got ammunition feed all done in one, the handles, the various parts for it. Down is this one, as you can see on there. So nice little touches to that one. As you can see, two different types or three different types of barrel on here. We've actually got the ones normal and we've got the actual flared one on the end there as well. Okay, a couple of ammunition cans moulded in one, nice touch. Again, very nice indeed. We'll just pop that back in because I'm a little bit worried about losing the gun. Okay, so just slip that all in there. We're just going to pop that back in. Again, shame it's running around loose. You don't want to really get it damaged. Okay, so into some of the bigger parts. Okay, so what we're going to do, we'll actually, these are staples, which is very Tamiya-esque. Oh, that one's now had it. Okay. Okay, so first up, we've got Spruce Ii. And again, looking at it, it just looks a little bit plain. We're talking about this texture again and things like that on here. And I think really when you come in and you can actually properly see it, as you can see, there's, you know, the texture's really nothing to get excited about. They tend to be generic. This is that block, which is quite nice. This is that former for actually all the actual photo etch parts, so that's going to fit down there. Generally everything else is okay. We've got the gun lock again, nice little details on that. But again, when you're down into here, these tiny little holders just here, you can probably see the size of the sprue gate onto them is quite substantial. So it's almost the size of the actual item. Would have been nice to see those a little bit sort of thinner. And again, nice little touches. So we've got the bolts on the front end there. And again, that engine mid area we don't see, but it's a clue what's coming perhaps in the future. And then again, if we just pop around to this side, we can see that we do have down in here, these are normal plastic, but again, we've got photo etch ones. So you could do, if you didn't want to sort of mess around with the photo etch, you have got the opportunity to put on normal plastic ones if you wanted to go down that route. This is that front, and again, the texture's pretty plain on it, nothing to get excited about. I think it's sort of just a generic type of one on that. Looking on the back side, pretty much all the ejector pins are just a little tiny bit recessed, but they're all quite clean, which is quite nice. Okay, and then nothing that I think is going to be in the way, put it like that. A little bit of flash you might be able to see just down in here. We've had this before with a few of our other builds just like that. Then if we move along, we've got next sprue just in here. So we've actually got Spruce Ii, and again the bottom, some nice details around there. And again, some of the smaller parts all on the inside. This is that gun, but obviously we've got the metal one, but we've got two-piece gun part in there. The mantle looks quite nice, got a little bit of texture on there, a little bit of bits and pieces detailing. And again, some of the other various parts for the main gun system down here, the picolas, things like that, right the way through. So again, pretty good in this one. Again, on the blind side, nothing that's going to jump in the way or get everything, apart from all of these down in here. This is what we're talking about. You've got these ejector parts, but again, you can literally knock them off with your nail to get those out of the way. As you can see them down in here, they do come out quite straightforward. Okay, then we've got this one here, which is Spruce F, which is the rear deck. So we've got some of the sort of grills for the various things, the back part, again, nice good sharp bolt detail on these. That's actually very nice indeed. So that's actually all right, refueling points, things like that, right the way through. And again, all the other parts, nice cleanly detailed on there, nothing getting away. Again, it's these little parts here that drive me mad. Again, it shouldn't, because it's a 2-minute job to get rid of them, but you know what I mean, they're there. If you don't, that's why it won't lay flat. But again, nice good textures. Okay, and then we've got Spruce D. So we've got spare track pads, and again, these little guys down in here, just a little bit Big and chunky the way they're on there, so you're going to be careful when you remove on that. Apart from that, the rest of it is actually some very nice details down in there. We've got that sort of barrel gun down in there for a 30, no problem. We've got another barrel down there, and there's another 30 caliber as well. We're assuming for different makes and models and various things on this one. So again, no real problem. Pretty clean, no real flash on it whatsoever. There's just the tiniest little bit of flash on some of the little parts, but again, tiny little ones. Nice little details up here on the tops for the actual guards over the top of the sort of the periscopes, things like that. Very nicely moulded, good, clean, and again, a lot of the surface detail is very nicely done as well. Okay, into the big parts. So down in here, and this one is lost in a baggie. So we've got a match pair. I'll get one out. There we go. Down in here on Spruce Ii. So this is all your gear and all the running gear for this particular one, the idler arms, things like that, right the way through, and the bogies, all of that, as you can see, pretty nicely done. No, I can't see anything's going to give you any problems with that. That's all pretty clean, nicely done. And again, ejector pins aren't so bad on here as well. They're nicely done, recessed out of the way, so they're not going to cause any problems. But the road wheels, again, nice, good one-piece ones running right the way through. So actually, that's very nice indeed. Okay, last but no means least, you've got this, which I don't think we really need to get out because we can all see what that is. That is your project for the next few evenings at least, is to go around. So what you've actually got is track pads for the outside, track pads from the inside, the guide and the teeth and all the rest of it down in there for the actual track system. Yeah. So again, this is one of those ones, of course you can just pop down the aftermarket, but it has to be said, don't forget that the Sherman has actually got a sprung type system into this one, so there's no sag. Okay, so it's under tension all the time. So you don't have that normal sag system as it comes through or anything else like that. It is under pressure, so you could get away with building it in sections quite easily, and then front section, rear section, but it does look, it is totally movable if you wanted to go down the wire route as well. But as we know, there's plenty of aftermarket, there's loads of companies out there do aftermarket tracks, and you can go through with that. And there we have it. Again, it's one of those ones where, you know, it's hard to get over the point where there's kits out there with full interior detail for the same sort of price as this is. This is £60 for a kit. It's a bog standard Sherman, everything else like that. We know it's an A3. I think there's a few other different versions out there, but they are older kits. What is nice with this one is obviously we get the metal barrel. That's quite a nice one. Spending time to do the track and everything else, it is going to be totable in separate links. You can build it, put it together. Although it's time consuming, it is quite a nice system of actually doing it. And also some of the little details right the way through. It's got little highlights with this particular kit that do stand out. Unfortunately for me, surface detail, it would have been nice to have that more, you know, instead of it just being plain right the way over it, perhaps little lumps and bumps and some chunks and casting things around the top and that aren't generic to every single one. You know, that way it's a little bit over, but it does look like a little bit of 300 grit sandpaper as texture was used right the way over it. A little bit disappointing on that. We've looked at other Shermans recently and they've got fantastic casting detail to them. So when you are into weathering, especially if you're into this type of weathering, you've got something to cling to, it gives it something to sink into those recesses and on the high points to give you a really nice weathered look model and things like that. Generally though, I can't really find a fault with it apart from that. It looks very, very nice. It is available as always through the PM store, so if you want to go and get it from us, you can go and get that kit. But there we go, that is Meng's new 1/35 scale M4A3 Sherman.